When's the last time that you've sat by yourself without distractions, without needing to do something, and just thought, reflected, or just be? Society nowadays tells us that, go to school, get good grades, get into a job, get a career, have a wife, have kids, and essentially the loop is that you just keep adding on and on and on these layers of responsibility that keep you where you are. You can never go back because you already have the responsibility. So you can only push forward and add on to the responsibility you already have. And so that really restricts our freedom. Like we believe that once you hit 20 years old, 25, get out of college, you have to get a job. You have to get all this stuff. And of course, society's built around that. So if you don't get a job, you're probably not going to do as well in life. You're not going to be able to provide for yourself. You're not going to be able to buy the things you want. But also, because we're forced into these, well, forced, we're forced into these things. Like, if you have no autonomy when you're younger, you're essentially going to be slipped down right into that path, and you have no say in it. You have nothing you can do about it unless you want to be a bum and sit around all day, right? And not work, live with your parents. But like, if you have no autonomy when you're younger and you don't kind of create your reality for yourself instead of letting your life be dictated by others and your environment and society, what it tells you, then you're eventually going to be slipped down into this path where you're just going to keep adding responsibility onto your life over and over and over. And so what that does is it keeps you kind of locked in this place where you're not spending time alone, you're not spending time understanding yourself. You're just going through the motions of life and letting your reality be dictated by society, essentially. So you're not living for yourself, you're not living for the people around you. Actually, that's not true. You could be living for the people around you. You just don't live for yourself. And me personally, I am deathly afraid of that. All the only reason that I'm here talking to you, expressing my thoughts in my voice is because I've spent time alone. I've spent countless hours. Honestly, I've spent more hours alone than I've spent with other people. And of course, don't count sleep, don't count that kind of stuff. But like, I actively seek out alone time. I actively seek out, just hours where I can be by myself. And of course, to you, it might sound unproductive, right? I'm not getting stuff done. I'm not being a productivity machine as society would want me to be. But in doing that, I've been able to advance myself and my understanding of myself and understanding of a lot of things in my life just because I've done the deed of, setting aside an hour, putting away my phone, not listening to other people, shutting my door, shutting up, and just listening to my world. Not listening to my mother's world, not listening to my friend's world, my teacher's world, my school's world, my society's world. Simply listening to my world. And I've gotten so much done, and I've achieved so much just by being by myself. And it's so rewarding to me. I have such a deep appreciation and love for solitude because it's given me so much in my life. It's allowed me to build a skill of expressing my thoughts, like all of this stuff. I've been able to build a skill of thinking clearer, thinking about the stuff that I think is meaningful more clearly, assessing what I think is meaningful. And these things don't just come by staying in the motions, waking up, going to work, coming home and decompressing, or like whatever it's called, de-stressing, scrolling on my phone for 2 hours, going to sleep, doing the exact same thing. Like, the core of human life is built on experience. And of course, unfortunately, humans have an innate fear of the unknown. And so it's easier to tolerate a life where it's boring and it's predictable versus an unpredictable life that's risky, right? And so, well, I guess those are two extremes. Say a predictable, boring life versus an exciting, risky life. Most of us, at least I think most of us, would at our core want to live the risky, enticing, and like exciting life. But we've been conditioned by society, whether it be society, our environment, our parents, our friends. All of these factors come into our life and tell us that we should be doing this, we should be doing that, we should follow the system, follow this, follow that, follow school, follow our career, follow our job, instead of follow ourselves. Right? We latch onto all of these exterior things to give us comfort and safety in a system that really isn't working to benefit us. Like as humans, I don't even want to say as humans, as individuals, as a being, I don't think we should allow ourselves, our lives to be ruled by other people. That's at least how I think. That's the conclusion that I've come to after hours of thinking these things through. Like, would I rather have the illusion that I have autonomy over my life, the illusion that I'm in control, when really, since the age of 5, I've been put into a system that's told me what to do, told me how to live, told me what my reality is, and I've just been a passive engine along that road. I'm not even the driver in the car seat. I am the engine that society uses to push me along to do what it wants. And I find that so scary, honestly, because most people, it's like you get that far in without knowing. You don't have the autonomy in the early stages of your life. And you get like mildly far into that society or like societal depiction of what life you should live. And then it's like the fear of admitting that it might all be soulless. It might all be, not in your best interest, not what you want, because you're already far in. You think that going back now, after maybe putting years, decades even, into your career, your societal status, I guess you could put it. You put so many years into these things, and you are afraid of turning back and admitting to yourself the truth that you already know, that it's really not what's best for you. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's like a certain fear of turning back. And it's like this is an accurate depiction of the simplest philosophical concept, like the allegory of the cave. We would rather live in passive obedience looking at shadows, and because we've been conditioned that way for years, then admit that that isn't real life, that isn't reality, and actually experience the world because we're so tied to it. We're so invested in the life that we've already, I don't even want to say built, because we, if you have followed that path, you really haven't built much. You've built on top of a foundation of a system that has allowed you to advance within that system. But what have you truly built? Nothing, right? It's crazy to think about. Like, what percentage of our lives are actually ours to say that we own? Truly, like, you may think you wake up every day and you own your life, but what things are grasping at you, constantly pulling you back in and saying, no, no, don't leave us. Don't do your own thing. Don't have authorship over your own life. Give us attention. Give us your time. Give us your money. Whatever it may be, it's like an infinite source of drawing from you, and you don't even know it. It's like a blind taking of you, literally hijacking your autonomy, and you don't even know it. And a lot of people don't even care because they've just lived this life for so long, and it's what they've been conditioned to and what they're used to, and they find comfort in it now because they're so, like, what's the word, desensitized to it. Like, I'm still 16. I have my entire life ahead of me, and I figured this stuff out for myself. I'm not saying this is a truth. I'm not saying this is an end all be all, like you need to follow what I say. But for myself, I have the privilege of knowing what I want and what I want to do. And I've only been able to find that through kind of ignoring the things that pull on me, that say, give me yourself. You, like, give me ownership of a certain slice of your life. and I'll maybe give you comfort and relaxation and satisfaction in the moment, and then I'll leave you completely addicted to me coming back all the time because you're dependent on those things to function. Like, and therefore it draws more of your life, more of your life, more of your days, more of your weeks, more of your months, more of your connections, your relationships, your relationship with yourself. It's like an endless pulling away from who you are, and eventually leaves you being no one but a a host. You're not even the like in a cell. You're not even the DNA. You're literally just the shit, what's it called? I just learned this. It's like a you're the plasmid. You're That's not what I was thinking of, but you're the plasmid. And you're not even the DNA for all my biology people out there. Um and that's scary to me. That's like genuinely scary because why would I want to live my life, this short, beautiful life that I've been literally gifted? Like, I didn't ask to be here. And of course, that could be bad for people. I've seen people be dealt shit hands in life, and so it causes them to lose hope, or they never even had hope in the first place. But me personally, I've been gifted a life where, honestly, I have some of the best circumstances in the entire world. I'm just gonna admit that. Like, I'm not saying that, I came from nothing. Yeah, I'm like all of this stuff. No, I have it easy compared to a lot of you. I genuinely do. And so you may think that my thoughts are skewed by that. But I think the lack of responsibility has allowed me to, at least for the person that I am, maybe a lack of responsibility for other people wouldn't have the same effects. But for me, I've been able to look deeper into what society is actually trying to tell us. Not even just society, what life nowadays, what modern reality is trying to push on us. Because I've been able to live a life consciously and actively chosen disconnected from that, right? And therefore, through being able to spend time alone, through questioning things, through realizations or perspectives that I think have value, right? These things have allowed me to realize that, like, think of your average person in your, like, mid 30s, right? If you're not living with your parents, you actually have a place, like, wake up, go to work, maybe commute, do all this stuff. Go to work 9 to 5, you know, spend your time for money that you're never going to be able to get back, right? Instead of making money work for you. And then you come home only to have the need to decompress because you're so, tired from having to work all day. You may sit on your couch and watch TV, scroll, all of these mindless things. And then you just go to sleep and do it all the next day for the rest of your life until you're retired. And then you can start living. And then you get the out, right? No! I don't want to do that. I don't think no one wants to do that. Like, seriously, nobody wants to do that. Unless you want to provide for your family and you have the responsibility to do that. Because I think family takes precedence over a lot of things in life. So if you have a kid, of course you want to do that. But I'm 16! I don't want to go out into the world and need to do that. Like, I don't... Oh my god. It's just so stupid. I want to spend time alone. I want to figure things out. And I want to live for myself. I don't want to work corporate, suck up to my manager. And then, like, it's just so pointless. I'm like... How do people want to do that? How do people want to get the internship, to go to college, to, do what society wants them to do, and then get a job, a nice 9 to 5, be comfortable, be bored, be mind-numbingly, like, not present in your life, and then just do that until you're, like, 65, until you have no vigor left in your life, and then you can die. Like, what? Why? What's the point? What's the point in that? I want to experience and I want to actually live. Living to me is an action. It's not just something you can do normally by just existing, right? We're brought into this world. That's our birth. And then we're just being, right? If we don't do something with our lives, if we don't take authorship, we're just being. We're just something that is, right? But living is a verb. You need to take control. And in order to live, I think you need to have you need to really live for yourself. Even if that sounds like slightly narcissistic, you need to think of yourself before you think of others so that then you can show up fully for others because you've met yourself as deeply as you want to meet them. All of these things that you say you need, whether it be like a nice job, a stable wage, a nice family, right? Majority, these are things that other people have told you to want. You need to spend time alone so that you can figure out what it is that you want, uninfluenced by outside and exterior factors, so that you can live your life with purpose and actually own it and be able to say that I lived my life and took control over it and actually lived for what I wanted to live for when you're 85 looking back from your deathbed, right? We think we have an infinite amount of time, but as I think it was like Brandon Lee said, like how many times are you going to think of a fond memory again? Maybe or think of like a fond childhood memory that you thought you couldn't live without. Maybe 10 times, 15 more times. Like, because we keep waking up and living, we think that time is infinite, right? We think that experience is an infinite thing that we can experience forever. But we die. We think that until we die, infinite, right? We can just do whatever. But the amount of times, the actual like digit number that you're going to do something again, especially if you live in such routines that society pushes you into, it's just going to keep getting lower and lower and lower, and you're not going to be able to actually live. Like, do I just want to be a worker? Do you just want to be a worker? Do you just want to work for someone else so that you can provide for yourself? Like, medieval peasants would be able to live for free, eat for free, be on nice land for free, to do 6 months of work a year, and then party the rest of it in winter when things can't grow. Like that seems like a much better reality. I guess, okay, no. But you get what I'm trying to say, right? Like, now we work for the illusion that we provide for ourselves when, like, we're just being spoon-fed by society to keep us in the loop. Instead of being able to live for free to do work, and to be, like, I guess perpetually on that plot of land, now we're being constantly in a state of like, we need to pay bills, we need to pay for all this, and in order to pay for that, guess what? You have to do work. Nothing's really changed in the past 400 years when it comes to employment. That's probably not true, and I'm just saying that right now. But you know what I'm trying to get at, right? You know what I'm trying to say. Take ownership over your own life, please. Like, actually spend time alone and figure out what you want. Figure out what you want to do. Figure out what you care about, what you value, and just work out from there. Like, work things out from there. Most people spend their life and they don't even know what they want. They've been told what they want. And then you die at 85, having lived a life that you weren't even, like, actually living. Again, you were just the engine used to propel yourself along the road when another person, whether that be other people around you or society, is in the driver's seat, pumping their foot on the gas, right? Without these things, you remove the driver, you would just be an engine. If you stay as that person who just blindly is ignorant of these things around them and that just lives for other people, right? So reinvent it. Don't be the engine. Be the motor, be the entire piece, be the boat, and let life be the wind against your sails, right? I'm not trying to get too poetic, but like, genuinely just live for yourself. That's not a selfish or narcissistic thing to do, to live for yourself, because the only person you're ever going to have, no matter what, is going to be you. So you might as well make a friend out of yourself. And you might as well figure out what you want so that you can go out and get those things, or at least work towards them, so that when you're dying on your deathbed, you can't say that, I didn't actually live for what I wanted. If you take action, guarantee, and you don't quit, you will probably succeed in what you want. Unless you're like actually stupid and you aren't improving every time you try. I'm done. Yo. Goodbye, guys. I hope you have an amazing day.